Good afternoon, Rachel.
Mr. Miller, it looked like you had more to say. I wasn't sure.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Thursday. And Rachel, because you are the guru of our episodes, I believe this is our year two and episode
16.
16. Year two, episode 16. Look at that. We've been doing this for a
Yes.
minute. And we have a guest today. We have Eli, the house guy. Before we get very far into that, I will try to remember our disclaimer.
Well,
We
you don't
are
have to try and remember it. I've got it right here, Mr.
Oh,
Miller.
look at that. I'll let you read it then. Rachel, would you please read our
Because
disclaimer?
I know what'll happen if you try and wing it. We'll be here for 10 minutes.
Whatever.
Welcome to Rachel and Mr. Miller podcast, where we are here to discuss real estate, real life, and occasionally things we probably shouldn't. We are pros in the buying and selling of residential real estate, but nothing you hear here is legal, financial, or professional advice outside of our licensed wheelhouses. We are three humans talking, proceed accordingly.
And handle like an adult beverage.
And there you go.
So we have Eli with us today. I met Eli, Eli, probably 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was about three.
Eli had a house over here on my namesake on a street called Scott Street, and he and I met over the phone a couple of times. And he and I are working on a project now together. And I talked to him yesterday and said, "Hey, want to jump on our podcast at the last minute?" And he said, "Love to." So Eli, and some people say that the word flipper can be a bad word in real estate. I completely disagree. There's enough room in this planet for everybody to do what they do, and I feel that flippers bring something very unique and different to the real estate game, and really make a big difference in a good way. So, Eli, how long have you been doing the flipper thing?
So I've been in the flipping business for it's a twofold portion. So I started working for a house flipping company in Canada. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And so I started there as an acquisitions manager. I worked for the gentleman for I think a year, about a year, maybe 6 months to a year. And then I came over here into California and I started doing it myself. So I moved to California in 2019. I think it was around June 2019. And I've been
Just
off
in
to the
time for
races ever
COVID.
since. So 2019 till now.
Scott made a little
Oh yeah,
joke. He
just
said
in time
just
for the boom.
COVID.
Oh yeah. I,
Welcome to
I
California.
remember
We're
I
locked down.
remember yeah, I remember when we got here, um I at the time I lived in an apartment and I used to see the lines of people going from outside of the urgent care to get their COVID vaccinations. And I would make some jokes about COVID. Like I didn't think it was a real thing. I thought, oh man, what is this? Like, why did I come here for this? And then I realized how serious it was and I dialed it back. But it was around that time, yeah, that I got in the game.
So, what sparked your interest in getting into the house flipping industry or house flipping game?
Yeah, great question. Funny enough, I was homeless before I got into the business, sleeping on, you guys ever see like Storage Wars
Yes.
where they have the thing and the roll-up doors? And anyways, so I slept in one of those, and I was there for about 6 months.
Wow.
And I was on the subway in Toronto, and I saw a sign that said, "Flip houses with no money, no credit, no credentials." And I was like, "Wait, that's me. Are you guys talking to me?"
They're talking to me. How they
So
know?
your
Yeah,
qualifications.
yeah. So yeah, I said, "There's no way this is real," but all right, I'm down to check it out. So they were advertising seats for 69 bucks at the Toronto Convention Center. And long story short, I went. Pitbull, Tony Robbins. In Canada, we have what's called Dragon's Den, which is the Canadian version of Shark Tank. And so Jim or Dan Treliving and a couple of other dragons from that show were on like the headlines and the posters and what have you. And so I went, and I was fortunate enough to go first thing in the morning. The lady at the convention center let me in. She's like, "Are you the only one out here?" It's like 5 in the morning. I'm like, "Yeah, I want to be first row. I don't know what this ticket's good for, but I just want to be here early so I can meet some people."
Did
She's like,
you
"Don't."
show up for your calling or what?
Yeah. And so she let me in, and I got second row, and I got to stay there. I met some cool people. And then from there, knowing that I had like 1,500 bucks left to my name, after some challenges through college and stuff like that. This dude comes out on stage, and he's like, "You ever see that statue in Brazil where it's like the big Jesus statue with his arms wide open?"
Yes, it's a saint.
So the guy, yeah. So I don't know what it is, but anyways, he was talking about his kids, and he was saying things like, "My kids make so much money in real estate, they wipe their butts with Benjamins." And I'm like, "Who is this cocky guy?" Like, right? And so uh, the next thing he says is, "Who's going to be the next guy to come and work with me?" So I thought it was a job offer. So I look back, and there's 10,000 people in a crowd, and I stand up, and I'm like, "I will." Like, whatever. Here I am. And then he's like, "No, no, no, kid. Go to the table on the right and go pay for this 3-day course." So I went to the 3-day course, and they gave me too much information, but I was like, enough that I was like, I think I can figure this thing out. So I went to Vistaprint, got the hat, the shirts, the cards, the notebook, the pen, and I started handing out my business card and telling people I buy real estate. And they were looking at me up and down laughing, and I was like, all right, well, this ain't working. And then I got the job, and then after I learned the gig, then I went to do it on my own. That's the story.
Eli, that is an amazing story. I I use the term underdog so lovingly, because I am a fan of somebody who does exactly what you just did. And it gives me so much inspiration. We think we've got it tough. We don't want to do the hard things, the things that we think are hard. But hearing your story really reminds us that we all have the fortitude and the reasons to go out and do the hard things and make a success for ourselves. Nobody's going to do it for us, right? We got to do it for ourselves. Right, meeting the right people is key. So, and also having trust and maybe a little naivete, right? I think that if you were maybe just a little bit more jaded for whatever reason, your situation, you weren't, and you chose to trust. And I think that that's amazing. So congratulations. I think that's an amazing story.
Thank you for your feedback on that. I will say I still have the get enough information, grab my huevos and roll the dice attitude to me. I never lost that, and it's brought me this far. And so now I'm a little bit more calculated than before because now I'm playing with other people's money. So I've got to be a lot more careful. But at the same time, if the deal looks good, if the opportunity looks good, and I feel like I can maximize what it is, then I'm jumping in 2 feet in.
What
Live
brought you
once.
to California? What was your reason for leaving Canada and coming to California?
Great question. So at the time, I met my wife on Instagram. I was one of those college. Now, for context, I'm 33 years old now. So 33 minus 7, I was 20, I don't know, 26 when I got here and moved in. But my girl and I, we met, I was about 24 years old, and I was still very much the sly, slick talking city slicker on Tinder and scrolling and meeting girls and stuff like that. And anyway, so I met my girl on Instagram, and then I took a liking to her, and I cut all the other side girls off, and then I pursued her, and then I when I realized she lived here in California, I was like, well, how am I going to make this work? So at first it started off as just a friendship, and like our underlying baseline was like, look, there's no point in having conversation if we're going to lie to each other, so let's just be totally honest about everything, and we'll figure out the rest. And so 9 months later, we meet up in person, we have a lot of fun as young people do. A baby came, and I ended up here.
And Eli, you guys
You
just
had all
had
the
your
right reasons to get yourself together.
you
Yeah.
guys just
You
had
need to pull it together quick.
you just had your third child, didn't you?
Yeah, so I have so now we're married, same girl. We have 3 children now, and so my son was born January 5th this year. So my first is
Wow.
6, going to be 7 on the 31st of May. My second is going to be 2 on the 14th of June, and then my third just turned 4 months 2 days ago.
Holy smokes, you guys are
Yes.
busy.
You're not busy at all.
That's great.
Wow.
No, we
Wonderful.
jump all the way in,
Congratulations.
10 toes down.
I love that. Amazing. And you're 32?
33.
33. Boy, you're young. Wow. Good
I
for
remember
you.
I remember being that age once. What happened?
I
I don't know what
think
happened.
that's when we met, Miller.
Right, I'm 33 with almost 30 years of experience. Holy crap.
That's right. Holy smokes is right.
Oh, man. Th- Thanks, Eli.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah, I just see it as total motivation.
Uh,
100%.
oh, I have. What is a typical day like for you? You get up in the morning and go jump online and find people, or are they calling you? Or tell me what a day in the life of yours is, other than jumping
Eli, the
on
house guy.
podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah, my days have changed recently, so I'll give you what it was and what it is now. So yeah, it's just changed only because I've got a lot more responsibility on my plate. But um, before it was wake up 4:45, 5 o'clock, go to the gym, take care of me, take about 30 minutes, pray, read my Bible, journal, things like that. By 6:30 or so, when all that's done and over with, get some breakfast in me. By about 7, I would spend time with my daughter before she had to get ready for school. And then from about 7:45, 8 o'clock ish, I would just be on the phone smiling and dialing. And then every time I would close a deal, I would take a portion of the deal and I would stash it for the purpose of trying to buy my first investment, to do a house flip. Uh, and then uh, and then I wouldn't stop until I got something out of the day. So like everybody has their KPIs. I don't know how high tech this podcast is. So for the simpler audience that never got started, I would have a certain amount of goals for the day that I wanted to achieve before I would feel comfortable putting the phone down. And so my number was 200 conversations in a day, 10 offers in a day, and just keep going until somebody says yes. And so that's what
200,
it took started. Before I got on the phone,
conversations? Wow.
in a day, yeah. So I like it's very uncommon to meet me and I don't have these headphones in. If you see me without headphones, it's because at this moment in time, I have staff that are calling for me and they know my metrics and they know what they have to hit in terms of their daily, weekly, monthly goals. And now my conversations are a little bit different. So now I'm waking up a little bit later, gym a little bit later, still doing the Bible journal praying thing in the morning. I never left that. And then now I made it a point to find time to be with the family and it's intentional time. So when I'm there, I'm there. Like I'm not taking another call. I'm dead to the world for the couple of hours I'm with the kids because they need that. So that's the change that really happened. But when I started, I mean, before I even got on the phones, I used to door knock. So I live in Bakersfield and I didn't know the layout of the land when I got here. And I didn't know that the east side is predominantly Hispanic. And then you have Oildale to the north, and then different pockets of the central city and southwest. But I went and door knocked all of it. Uh, I started, if you know Bakersfield for reference, you pull it up on a map. I would start at around Coffee Road, which is like about the east side, or sorry, west side. And I went all the way out to the east around Morning Drive. So that covers almost the whole city. And then I wouldn't cross Brundage because that's, I don't know, it's a dividing line in the city. And then all the way in the north. So Oildale, for anyone that wants to jump on a map, Oildale, east side, central Bakersfield, downtown, west side, up to Coffee Road, because that's where I lived. I just door knocked all of it. And I would do 250 door knocks in a day.
Wow.
And that's where the
Eli,
200 is from.
what was your message? What was your conversation? What were you looking for when you were knocking on those doors?
I didn't know what I was looking for, to be honest. So I didn't have I know what I did, but I didn't really know what I was like. Now I have a buy box and I have like certain investments I want to do and certain investments I won't do. To me,
But were
everyone
you
that
looking for people to just to sell their homes? Were you looking to see if
yeah,
people wanted to, were you a, did you have your real estate license at that time?
nope, and I still don't have it. So I operate in the off-market world, but the way I did it was I would go. So I knew that there's an opportunity in distressed housing. I knew that. So anytime I was in a decent neighborhood where you could tell the roads are paved, the grass is manicured, things like that, I would really look for the ugliest house on the block or telltale signs that there's some form of distress. Because I know most people don't spend all their life savings on buying a house and not take care of it unless something's happening, right? So I would look for like on garbage days, is there a garbage can not in the street? Or non-garbage days, is there a garbage can still in the street? I would look for overgrown grass, broken windows, cars in the driveway, tarp on the roof. I would look for neighborhoods where everybody's got central air conditioning, but one house has like the window unit. So those were telltale signs for me that hey, there might be something up with this person in particular. I'd look for notes on the door for code violation, eviction notices, things like that. And I would door knock those. And so I'd had a little journal and I would just write the addresses that I knocked on. And if nobody answered the door, I had these, I went to Office Depot. I got two different colors of like pieces of paper. And then I would simply leave I would print on it, we buy houses, and I take the 8.5 by 11 and make two flyers out of it. So like a 4.5 by, like the halfway point of the 8.5 by 11, two flyers, cut it in half, and that becomes my door signs, bandit signs, door hinges, or like whatever you call it, things you put on the door. And then I would just leave those, and if they call me, they call me. If they don't, they don't. And so where I got my first deal, the lady happened to be in foreclosure, and her husband was a total macho cholo type of guy, bald head, tattoos on his head, and white beater and plaid shorts with the high socks. And I was like, all right, this is gonna be interesting. I'm down, whatever. So I knock on the door, or I go to knock on the door. He's like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "Hey, your house is on this list. I guess the bank is trying to take it. I help people that are in this situation." And he's like, "You need to talk to my wife." So the wife comes out, and it's this whole like dramatic moment. She comes out and she's in tears, like, "I don't know what to do. I saved all my life for this house, and now I'm getting nothing out of it." And so I eventually did my first deal with her, and that took me 4 months to get that first deal. So every day for 4 months, I would just knock on doors. And to the Hispanic community, I would say, "Me llamo Elias, ¿estás interesado en vender su casa?" I learned that on the street from Google
You really
Translate.
shocked him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And they were like, "Whoa, who is this guy?" And so I took it very serious, and they respected the fact that I learned the pronunciation and how to pronounce words and things like that. And
With a
then,
Jamaican accent, mind you.
yeah, and so that's what happened. And so when the girl saw me speaking halfway her language, she's like, "All right, well, what do you want?" And I told her, and then that's when she started bawling up in tears and all this stuff. And then I was like, "Yeah, I can help you." At the time I was fortunate to have a mentor that I met in Sacramento who used to live in Bakersfield, who connected me with a buyer that would help me facilitate this deal, or an investor, right? And so I wholesaled the deal. So we tied up the property and I just quickly resold it in the
So,
escrow. And
Eli,
we,
for
yeah,
for some of our viewers that may not know what that means, when you wholesale the deal, can you
yeah,
give
I'll
it?
explain that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So we wholesale. I'll come back. So we wholesaled it to him, and what we did is we helped her out by taking over her payments, catching up her mortgage to keep her out of foreclosure, making the payments every single month to rebuild her credit, and then like a year later, she bought another house, and we were like, "Oh, awesome, full circle moment," and it all worked out. I made $5,000, and then I copied and pasted my first check. It was $5,000, and I wrote anything is possible. And then that's when I got my phones. And then from the phones, I just hammered the phones all day. That's the story of my first deal. Now, going back to what wholesaling is just going out looking for a person that has a property that they want to sell. Typically, the person is in some kind of distress, whether it's death, divorce, taxes, disease, financial distress, circumstantial distress, physical distress. And you basically offer them to liquidate their house at a certain price, and then you have an investor come in and fund that purchase at a higher price, and you make the difference. So that's what a wholesale transaction is. Now, you notice how I didn't say you didn't offer to buy the house, because you actually don't have the ability to close typically when you're wholesaling. I tell them like I'm going to liquidate their house and give them cash. And the verbiage is important because you never want to be in a transaction where you told the seller you were going to buy a property that you have no intention of buying. You don't even have the ability to buy it. And then you try to resell it in an escrow, and then they somehow find out on the closing statement, and it's like, what the heck? You made X amount of money in equity off of me. It's like, so I use specific language to make sure that I'm separating myself from the bunch, because most people don't do that. They'll just be like, yeah, I'll buy the house, which they can't even buy it in the first place. So I was always saying to people like, yeah, our company buys houses, but what I was doing is I'm going to be the guy to liquidate your house. And that was my verbiage at the door, so I wouldn't get in any trouble.
Eli, I need more understanding of you're using the word liquidate. You're using the word liquidate to define what wholesale means. What is the action of liquidating a home?
Good question. So I'll give you a real life scenario. Let's go back to the Rachel story. That's the story that I just gave you about my first deal. So Rachel, actually, I'll give you the next one because that one is a little bit more complex and for more advanced minds. Um, the next deal that I did was another wholesale transaction. And the story is the following. The seller lived in Texas. Their property was left in California. The people that were in the house in California, they were destroying the house. They were squatters, they were non-paying renters, and they just beat the house down to to nothing, right? And so the seller was like, well, I can't afford to manage this property. I can't afford to make mortgage payments. I can't afford to do anything really. And I'm behind on taxes. And so I'm like, all right, well, what is the amount that you owe? Well, the amount that they owed was like, I don't know, 25,000 or something like that. The house was probably worth 250,000 all fixed up. But I knew that house would take a considerable amount of work in order to get it to be sold at that price. So when I underwrote the numbers or underwrote the deal, I basically was leveraging my investor, asking him like what would he pay for it and why. So then once I knew he wanted to buy the house for 125,000 and he would spend $75,000 on the transaction or on the construction, I knew I have to get that property if I'm going to make any money for less than 125,000. So I go to the seller and I say, "Hey, I'll give you $100,000 and we'll liquidate this right now and solve all your problems." Right? And at first they said no, we want a little bit more. We went back and forth and we eventually landed at 110. So from 110 to 125,000, which my investor wanted to pay for it, it creates $15,000 worth of money for me for doing a couple of things. Number one, I am helping the seller out by solving all of their tenant issues because they couldn't do it on their own. Number two, when it came to the mortgage and stuff like that, giving them the money that was in the equity of the house and having them pay off their mortgage and pay off their taxes, stopped all the bill collectors, all the investors calling them about foreclosing, things like that. And then number three, improving the neighborhood. So those guys were bringing down the neighborhood significantly. And the neighbors that had nice houses, they were like, well, we can't stand these people. So by me offering the tenants inside 2,500 bucks for cash for keys, I actually didn't make 15. I only made 12 and a half, but I helped them get their next house. I cleared out that house. I gave the investor a property to work on. We improved the house. He sold it for 250. The title company got paid. The escrow company got paid. Lender got paid. An agent got paid. The neighbors got paid because their equity boosted based on their property values going up. And then overall, you have now a really nice house. So that's like the entryway into real estate investing because all of it starts at knowing how to underwrite a deal. And then once you get the deal at a decent enough price, now your exit strategies become plentiful because you got the deal at the right price. So if you want to flip it, wholesale it, clean it up and just relist it. If you want to, move in it, whatever you want to do, right? The opportunities become endless as long as you contract the deal for the right price. The What I did and specifically is I just said here is a purchase and sale agreement for 110,000. They sign it. I get what's called equitable interest. And then I just turn around and go to my investor and I say, you said you wanted this for 125. Here's the deal at 125. Just give me the difference. And he's like, cool, let's do the deal. And that was it.
Come to mind while Eli was talking. Do you have something you want to ask before
No,
I
go ahead.
shoot?
Go
Okay,
ahead.
because I can't believe we already are in the last 5 minutes. been so incredibly fascinating, and I can already say I want you back because we have so much more to talk about, but I know
Yeah,
you're a
yeah,
very busy man.
yeah. Yeah.
So while I was listening to you tell that story, I realized that you are a liaison then between investors and and basically sellers or those that need to get out from under the home that they're in. But not only are you the liaison, you seek out those opportunities and then you connect investors to those opportunities. Am I hearing that correctly? Okay. So that was just kind of like a little, oh, that's how that kind of came together for me. You
Hmm.
mentioned that in that transaction in the story you just told, that one of the things you said was that it solved the issues of the squatters, the squatter issue. How did it solve the issue of the squatters? Because other than just tearing the house down, how do you get them out? Even no matter who owns the house.
The short answer is cash for keys. That's the
Pay him to
shortest
leave.
answer. Yeah. So
Was that
yeah,
Scott?
You pay him to leave.
Oh, you pay them to leave. Is that what cash for keys means? Okay, I'm sorry, I hadn't heard that term before. So you basically
one
pay
thing,
them to get out.
pretty much. Yeah. And
And does
it's like
that
the easiest
typically
way.
work? Do they negotiate their way out?
Sometimes they do. It's become more prevalent after COVID where they feel like they have negotiating power, for sure. Like I've paid the highest cash for keys amount I paid. Granted, this is Los Angeles County, but it was $60,000.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah. So tenants know, squatters know they have all the leverage in the world and with the rules of California. And so they negotiate their number to get out of a house.
Got it.
60
But
grand.
normally, like in Kern County and some of these Central Valley counties, like the lowest I've ever paid was $500. And so I've gotten really good at negotiating that just because I'm really good at identifying, right, what are the needs of the person that I'm dealing with, right? And my whole thing and what I tell my team is like, hey, solve for the need of the seller, not for the want. So whatever that is, our number still has to make sense because it's still a business. But at the same time, what we're targeting is the need, and our offers around everything is structured specifically around the needs of the client that we're dealing with. And so we are fortunate enough to have resources all around us. So we can give them referral business or we can give them access to our network in exchange for, hey, we need you out of this house.
Eli, when you came on, we went straight into another topic. However, you said you had something that your vision was coming together, and
Yeah,
I don't want to push that away. I want to know what that vision is that's coming together, and we may go a
yeah,
little bit over, and yeah, we may.
it's okay. I budgeted for an hour anyway, so we're good. So my biggest vision and the reason why I am so dialed in into real estate and so like 10 toes down is what I like to call it, is because I have a vision of putting a dent in homelessness by housing 100,000 people. Very big, audacious goal. Kind of scary, but I keep saying it and opportunities keep coming because I keep verbalizing it. So far, I'm about 150 people deep. Not very much, but I mean, I had a lot of learning to do, and then I
That's
had to grow a
150
team.
people. That's a lot of
Yeah,
people.
it's a lot, but I could do better. I
That's
want more.
that's
So
5 classrooms.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's over the course of 7 years, but at the same time, I am following my progress. I am tracking it, and so my goal is to get to 100,000 people and put a dent in serving people houses because that's a need in this country, right? And I come from being homeless, and that's where this is more of a passion project for me, where, rather than is I'm just trying to make some money. And so one of the ways that I do that is obviously by flipping houses and giving good houses to people. But another way that I do that is I work with a lot of people that do not get qualified traditionally for housing, and I offer them private mortgages where I'm the lender and they just pay me direct. So that's in the world of owner financing or creative finance. Different discussion, different day. But I was when I was on the phone, I was talking to my note servicing company that services all the loans that I do. And long story short, we were just making sure that everything was dialed in because it's a lot of paperwork. It's a paperwork intensive doing loans. But it's very rewarding to know that I can help anybody have a house.
Absolutely amazing. What kind of license do you need to have to run this amazing business that you've created?
The short answer is none.
Great.
You don't really need it
That's amazing.
because you don't need it. The barrier to entry right now is very low for real estate. When any facet of real estate, the barrier to entry is pretty low. Even if you want to get licensed, or it's like $2,000, right? You can hustle for a month and make $2,000 doing anything. Um, and so if you want to go about it the off-market route and the unlicensed route, you still have to have a code of ethics that you abide by because in order to get these big numbers of 100,000 people in housing, your reputation has to precede you, right? So you won't be able to get to that number by burning all kinds of people and treating people like dirt. Like it's just not going to happen. And so
That's
I have
100%
a
true.
Yeah, so I abide by my own code of ethics. My code of ethics is derived out of the Bible. I am a Christian. I believe in God, and I try to live the Christian life every day. And so I take that to all my interactions, and I like to be honest, open, and transparent about everything. And that's it. And so if I was licensed, I mean, nothing would change. I'm still on the same mission. I found a way to leverage people that already have done the work and got licensed to help me and enroll them in my vision rather than me having to do everything on my own. You're going to go much farther with a team than you will by yourself anyway. So
Eli, are you in connection or do you link arms with any of the local politicians or chambers in your area, the mayor, anybody? Do they know you and your mission and your vision? Do they know you and your reputation?
probably not. I know one guy I think he's a councilman. I met him one time because I was trying to do an assisted living home. This is back during COVID, and we built it ground up. And then my partner and I tried to buy another site to put a three-story building there, and the partnership fell apart, didn't work out. But during that process, I got to sit in city council meetings, and I got to meet a couple council members. And so one guy, I sat down with them, and when we see each other now, it's like, oh, hey, what's going on? Nice to see you again. But it's not anything deeper than that. So the short answer is no.
I see whatever, I don't know, what city do you work in? Did you mention?
Bakersfield.
Bakersfield? Is
Bakersfield.
that the, yeah. I see you being recognized by the city of Bakersfield at some point in your future. In a good
There
way.
are, yeah.
That was a compliment.
I'll take it for what it's
Eli, also,
worth.
you may want to go over and
People have their opinions of Bakersfield, and it's all
Good.
good. I mean, it's all good. You know what? You know what?
uh,
I
I
just,
say this
I
to the
guess,
people
I, I guess what I
to the
really
people
mean
go
is
ahead.
that I think that I think that you are doing something very noteworthy, and I think it's somewhere along the way, you'll be recognized in a big way.
It'll be nice. I guess that would be the cherry on top. At the end of the day, you live once, right? And so at the end of the day, I want to leave an impact that I leave the world better than I found it. You know, that's important to me. And I try to take that to every interaction I have. Like, can I leave that conversation with a person feeling like, you know what, that guy's on a mission. I'm willing to support him, or I'm going to talk highly of him. So, because that all just helps me, right? But at the end of the day, if I leave you in a position better than I found you, then this is me making the world a better place, right? And so I've seen some ugly, I've been through some things in life. And so I feel like I might as well be a force for good.
Eli, if somebody wants, you and I had a brief conversation about this yesterday, is there's people that need to sell their home like right now. And that's kind of where you come in. And then there's people who could sell it the traditional way. That's where Rachel and I come in. Uh, what would be I'm going to say the perfect storm for you to step in and help somebody?
great question. So I'm going to answer that in twofold. The coming from the route of the agents where you and Rachel sit, um, we target properties. So I do have an acquisition team that targets properties on the MLS that are stale listings and they need a lot of work and they're distressed homes and we target that stuff. But really and truly, I mean, at the right price, there's a buyer for everything. So where we shine the most is buying the properties that realtors cannot sell. Let's say the house is upside down and the seller doesn't want a short sale because it's going to damage their credit for 2 years at minimum. That's where I come in. Or the house that, the situation is so bad. I'll give you a quick little story. A reverse mortgage scenario where the squatters inside are so hostile because they're just fresh out of jail, they won't let anybody see the house. Situations where the house is so dilapidated that you know, the seller's unrealistic and they still want you to put the house on the market for a really high price. And we come in and we make our offer and then, we do our inspection, go through the whole thing, and then we figure out on, what's going to be the number that gets it done, but more importantly, what's the service we're going to provide. Another quick story with that. I had a gentleman last December, I believe. He was moving to Oklahoma. His wife had Alzheimer's. He had 4 cats, 12 dogs. He needed help to move because his money went further in Oklahoma. And another investor that wanted to buy the house was offering to buy him dog food to get out. And I was like, what the heck? That's dumb. So I was like, look, why don't we cover your agent costs? Why don't we cover your closing costs? Why don't we move you to Oklahoma? We'll give you 75% of your proceeds up front so you have negotiating power to go buy a house over there. We helped him negotiate the house in Oklahoma. We bought him his plane ticket and we shipped his animals all to get our price. So it's a massive stack of value to get that deal done. Yeah, so it's a massive stack of value for a small ask in our asking price in order to get the deal done. So there's that. And then so we look for houses that are problematic for agents to sell. And then on the off market stuff, we look for people in um there's two types of circumstances. There's physical circumstances, I'm sorry, I'm saying this wrong. Financial, physical, and circumstantial circumstances. And so, or distresses. And so what that means is financial, you can't pay your taxes, can't pay your mortgage. Circumstantial, we're talking like need to relocate right now, have no equity, don't want to be a long distance landlord, or um, divorce scenarios and things like that. And then physical circumstances, the house is so dilapidated that the sellers are embarrassed and they're like, well, I can't put this on the market with an agent. I just want to dump it now and be done. I don't want to pay commissions on this. Like I'm already losing money anyway. I just want to be done in 10 to 15 days. And so those sellers come to us from the marketing that we do and the targeted lists that we call, but at the same time, we get them on both sides. And so we get them from other investors in the industry, we get them from agents, and we get them from direct homeowners themselves. It just really like they just have to respond to our marketing in order to know that, hey, this is for you, like we are for you or we're not. Obviously, our company is called Best Home Offer. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an offer on everything that comes through our pipeline, but then the conversation doesn't really start until the offer is rejected and the answer is no. And then at that point, we can figure out, okay, well, what works and what doesn't work. And based on that conversation, and I have the story behind the situation, that's when I'll make my best recommendation. Like, hey, I'm not even a good fit for you anyway. You need to talk to an agent, or I'm not even a good fit for you anyway. Neither is an agent. You need to just hold on to this property and build some equity before you sell, or something along those lines, right? We'll find a different solution for that person. So that way we can either make money on the transaction or we can provide them with value because at the end of the day when you give the value out it's going to come back in another way shape or form anyway, so we're good like letting people know like we can help you or we can't.
That's awesome. Eli, when somebody needs to reach out to you, and I know that there will be, what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you, whether it be an agent, whether it be someone who's in a housing distress? And what's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm easily accessible online. Eli the house guy is my tagline on all his social medias. So if you go to any social media and you type in Eli the house guy, that's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the stuff. Eli the House Guy, and I'll pop up. If you want to call the company directly, it's 661-466-4995. That's my direct line. Or if you want to just call the company in general, it's 855 offer 99. And then my cell phone number, well, I mean, I give that out too, but I'm trying to separate business from my personal life because now I have a
I think
team that can support me.
yeah, Eli, we definitely we need to have you back on. You're a wealth of information, and like I said at the beginning of the show, is the term flipper can be such a negative connotation sometimes. As you know as well as I do, just like in the real estate world, there are some not so nice people, and thankfully, I
Hmm.
think we all surround ourselves here with nice people, present company included, as nice people. uh, so with that, I have so many more questions, but we are already like way over our timeline. Rachel, when someone wants to get a hold of you, how are they going to do it?
They can email me at rachel@gratishomes.com. My website is rachelmoreno.gratishomes.com. Eli, it was an absolute pleasure meeting you and speaking with you. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. You know what,
Okay.
Eli, don't go away yet. We're going to talk in the green room. You guys can reach me at 760-264. I forgot my number. 760-264-3501. sellingkern.com. Rachel is in Ventura County. I am in Kern County. And Eli is also here in Kern County. With that, guys, until next time, we'll see you. Actually, you'll see us because we really can't see you until you call in. And this has been the Real Estate with Rachel and Mr. Miller. And Eli, stand by for a quick second here. And with that, I will disconnect on this. Bye, everybody.
All right. Enjoy.